Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace all battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build our nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty Nigeria may be blessed.
May we have our seats, please?
Nigeria.
British national. British national anthem. May we have our seats, ladies and gentlemen. Media went before me, so I need to adjust the program. Let's wait for cut seats to visit. Cut seat pep talk before we start formally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Otutu ọma. Ndewo no. I didn't hear it loud Ndewo. Yes, thank you. By way of introduction, my name is Tajuddin Ahmed. I'm the chairman of the programs committee and also one of the vice presidents at the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. It is my honor to guide us through today's event. Your Excellency, Dr. Peter Ndubuisi Mbah, Executive Governor of Enugu State, Honorable Commissioner, members of the Enugu State Delegation, Mr. President and Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Alashere, past presidents of the Chamber, members of Executive Committee of the Chamber and Council members, our patrons, esteemed sponsors, captains of industry, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of the NBCC Meet the Governor series. We're deeply honored to have His Excellency in our midst today. Your presence underlines the value you place on dialogue with the business community, and we are very grateful. This series was established to create a direct platform for engagement between government and the private sector, where leaders share their vision and businesses can explore ways to collaborate and invest. This event, Meet the Governor Series, has become one of the Chamber's signature programs, known for producing tangible outcomes and building lasting partnerships. Today's focus is Enugu State, the coal city. A state that under your leadership, Your Excellency, is redefining what it means to be business-friendly and investment-ready. From digital reforms and infrastructure renewal to bold initiatives in agriculture, energy, aviation, Enugu is setting a pace that deserves attention both locally and internationally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we begin today's conversations, I encourage us all to listen, engage, and explore opportunities that will strengthen the bridge between government and enterprise. Once again, Your Excellency, we are honored to host you, and we thank you immensely for accepting our invitation to share your vision with the Chamber, our members, our non-members, and other guests today. We also acknowledge the presence of our council and ESCO members, especially our patrons, as well as our valued sponsors, City Homes Finance Company, a subsidiary of DLM Capital Group, Polaris Bank, Henley and Partners, and Elite Branding Limited. Your commitment has made today possible. And to our distinguished audience, we thank you for being here in the room, not just to listen, but engage, ask the right questions, and contribute to the conversations that will shape new opportunities for businesses and Enugu State. Before we start, please rise. Sorry, I need to skip that. We already reason we've done the national anthem of Britain and Nigeria already. Now, as we begin, the quick tidbits I need to give. For our distinguished guests, during the Q&A session, a slip of paper will be passed around for those who wish to ask questions. Please write your question clearly and to be read aloud during the Q&A session. For posts on social media, please use the hashtag NBCC Meet the Governor. The N, the first letter in caps, in capital, then the other alphabets in small letters. Please join me as I welcome our Field Marshal. If we were at Aso Villa, this is the person that would have been the president if this was Aso Villa. If this was a ship, the captain would have been this person I'm going to call. If we were in the military, the Field Marshal will have been this individual I'm going to introduce to you. Please welcome President Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Olasheri, to give his welcome address. That applause is not presidential enough.
Thank you very much. Listening to you, I thought you've done the welcome address already, but I'll do the formal. Your Excellency, Dr. Peter Ndubuisi Mbah, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, Honorable Commissioners here present, and members of your delegation. I see our patron and past President, Ashwaju Michael Olawale. I see Deputy Presidents, Council members, ESCO members, sponsors, captains of industries that are here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my immense pleasure to welcome you to this edition of NBCC Meet the Governor series. When the Chamber designed this platform, we had one goal in mind: to create a bridge between government and the private sector. A bridge where vision meets enterprise and where policies can be tested against the realities of business. Over the years, the Meet the Governor series has evolved into one of our signature platforms. It has not only deepened dialogue, but has also generated concrete opportunities that has translated into investments, partnerships, and new markets. Before I go any further, let me also recognize Mr. Johnny Baxter, the British Deputy High Commissioner that is here, and obviously members of your team. Please, you are most welcome. This is not a ceremonial gathering. It is a working forum. a place where state leaders do not simply share aspirations, but where also we bring in investors, entrepreneurs, and policymakers. And they all have a chance to interrogate the aspirations of whichever governor comes here to address us. Today, we bring this bridge to Enugu State. And the time could not be more fitting. In just 2 years, under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubuisi Mbah, Enugu has become a state on the move, a reform-driven, investment-ready, and a business-friendly destination. We have seen bold steps in digital governance and infrastructure expansion and in creative public-private sector partnerships. Each of these signals a state that is not waiting for the future, but actively shaping it. The launch of Enugu here, for instance, is not just the unveiling of an airline. It is a declaration of intent. It tells investors and observers that Enugu is determined to expand its connectivity, attract trade and tourism, and insert itself more strongly into the flow of regional and global opportunities. Across sectors, the story is similar. In agriculture, new value chains are being built. In services, opportunities are expanding. In energy and infrastructure, the reforms are positioning Enugu as a place where both local and foreign investors can plant long-term commitments. Importantly, the emerging technology and innovation ecosystem signals a state readiness for the industries of the future. And here is where the Chamber sees clear room for UK-Enugu partnership. We are expanding trade and market access for goods and services. We'll be driving technology transfer and innovation exchange across industries, strengthening standards and governance frameworks that give confidence to international markets, building academic and research linkages between Enugu institutions and UK centers of excellence, encouraging diaspora investment by harnessing the skills, capital, and networks between the UK-Nigeria corridor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what we are doing today is more than just listening. We are participating in shaping a shared future. The conversations that begin in this room can translate into bold investments, into new jobs, into stronger institutions, and into opportunities that extend well beyond the boundaries of Enugu. Permit me at this point to acknowledge our sponsors who are there with us, with our partners. Without your commitment, it will not be able to sustain this platform of quality and the scale. I must commend the council members for their support and the leadership of our chamber. You have all worked tirelessly to uphold our mission of strengthening UK-Nigerian business ties. And again, I must add this. I really must add my welcome again to Dr. Peter Ndubuisi Mbah. Over the past couple of months, we have all been hearing great things. I remember we met in London during the Commonwealth conference, and it was clear, even to me at that time when we met, that Enugu State is clearly a state that is clearly on the move. And so for us at NBCC, we had no hesitation whatsoever when we were deciding which governor should come for this program. The Enugu State really came up there. And we are quite pleased that he is here on time. I must also add this. This program was meant for 10 o'clock initially. And we got the message from Enugu that the governor might be slightly late because he was flying in this morning and it should be adjusted. And we said, no problem. That we can understand. But the governor had arrived in Lagos by after 10 and was on his way here to make 10 o'clock. Again, I must thank you for that. And immediately, we now mentioned that we have moved the time and said, no problem. So again, what we are now saying is a governor that is responsive to private sector aspirations and private sector standards. When we say 10, it's 10. And when we moved it to 11, I see, and the dot of 11, the governor walked in. On this, I really must commend you. And those signals are the kind of signals investors also want to see. They want to see a state that when we make commitments, they are sure the commitments will be met. So again, I encourage all of us to see today, not merely as an event, but a launchpad. A launchpad for investments, for partnerships, and for bridges that will outlast this gathering. I thank you all for being here, and I wish us a session that will be productive, inspiring, and very, very useful. Thank you very much.
Let's raise the decibel level of that applause. I wasn't satisfied with our applause still. Now that we've done your bit as the audience, Mr. President, thank you for very inspiring opening remarks. which set the tone for this morning's event. The next item on our agenda is the presentation from the British Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Johnny Baxter. Please, let's raise the roof because the King of England is here with us.
Thank you very much. I might represent the King, but I'm not the King. And in case you hadn't noticed, actually, the King is doing something else at the moment, but I don't think I'll say any more about that. Look, it's a delight to be here. And if I can start off with an apology, we, of course, got the updated time, which is what we turned up for, and I realised we were later than we should have been, so apologies. I'd like to recognise the presence of His Excellency, the Governor, a very good friend of mine and of the UK, and also the President of the NBCC, but otherwise stand on existing protocols. Please allow me to start by saying how important Nigeria is to the UK from a trade perspective. The UK and Nigeria share a dynamic, long-standing and multi-dimensional trade relationship, which is currently valued at £7.9 billion, which is the highest figure since records began, and is increasing every year. And this relationship is fundamentally the cornerstone, I think, of the relationship between the UK and Nigeria. People often talk about historic relationships. People often talk about the need to move on. Well, for us, a modern trading relationship between partners is where we should be and where we are. And I'm really proud that the United Kingdom is the biggest investor in Nigeria. We account for 65% of all foreign direct investment flows into Nigeria. And that shows the depth of commitment, based on historic ties, based on personal and family ties, but based on Nigeria being a good place to invest in. And I think that is a real testament to what Nigeria is doing and to the strength of relationship between our two countries. Nigeria is also the United Kingdom's second largest trading partner in Africa and its largest export market. And in February 2024, we signed something called the Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership, which was about trying to increase those levels of trade, trying to make trade more smooth between our two countries. It's the first of its kind that we have signed with an African country, and in fact it's the second globally, the first being with India. And you've seen where the trade relationship between the United Kingdom and India has gone. So we certainly hope for the same sort of trajectory between us and Nigeria. The ETIP, the Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership, is a jointly developed framework, and it aligns with Prime Minister Starmer's growth agenda and President Tinubu's 8-point economic agenda, supporting job creation, economic expansion, business environment reforms. And what it's looking to do is enhance collaboration between the public and private sectors. It looks to identify and address market barriers, things that stop trade from flowing smoothly between our two countries. And it does this through a focus on a set of key sectors: clean growth, education, health and life sciences, creative industries, agriculture, finance and financial services, legal services, and investment. And alongside that, we work closely on regulatory cooperation. The regulatory cooperation, I think, is very, very important because one of our other key agreements is something called the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, which is about trying to increase the amount of Nigerian exports into the UK. 98-99% of Nigeria's exports to the UK are covered by this scheme, and the scheme means that they can be imported duty-free. All the normal taxes are taken off those items exported from here, imported into the UK. But one of the key obstacles is often standards. And people come back to me and say, it's fine, it's a great deal, but we can't do it because our standards don't meet UK standards. And so we work with Nigerian standards authorities, we work with regulatory authorities to try and help Nigerian companies raise the standards, which we unashamedly think is a good thing, because once you're meeting British standards, you're meeting European standards, you're meeting American standards, you've got a much bigger market to export to, and also the price that you can get for your goods is higher as well. So it's a really, really strong element of our relationship and an important one. The milestones I'd like to highlight from the ETIP are Nigeria-Britain business dialogues, where myself and someone senior from FMITI, usually the permanent secretary, will meet a wide range of British and Nigerian businesses to hear directly what are the problems that they're facing. And this is a way of us bringing private sector in front of government to understand what the real obstacles feel like. And then we commit to go away and look at what those obstacles are, and where we can, we're going to address those. We have also developed something called Transnational Education Guidelines, which has paved the way for UK educational establishments to operate in Nigeria. And as a consequence of that, we saw Charterhouse School open up last year, and we've seen Rugby School open this week. And we're hoping that further educational partnerships like that will continue, including, ideally, at the tertiary, at the university level sector as well. And we feel that this is a really good example of how the UK and Nigeria, when we combine together, we can produce a product that is even better than either of us can produce on our own. And in this case, this is an education system which will work, we hope, for a Nigerian audience, but also for a West African audience, so that Nigeria can become a centre for people in this region to bring their children to be educated, at the moment here in Lagos, potentially in Enugu in the future, potentially in other parts of Nigeria. But it's one of those places where what we aim to do is create benefit for the UK, clearly, but also benefit for Nigeria. And we're looking for those twin wins. Wherever we can get those twin wins, it's absolutely worth it. And the latest thing with the ETIP has been the creation of a creative industries working group, which is co-chaired by Florence Echelome, and many of you will have seen in the news that she was in Nigeria a couple of weeks ago. She is our new trade envoy. And what we want to see there is, again, a partnership between the UK creative industries sector, which is very commercially focused and produces a massive amount of actually the UK's GDP now. We have the experience over the last 20 years, probably, of developing that. And we want to bring that experience into Nigeria to ensure that Nigeria can benefit from Nigeria's creative industry, can get the money that you should be getting. Our trade relationship, though, is not just about UK businesses in Nigeria. The UK is also home to many Nigerian businesses, including 7 banks. And it's also the UK, or London particularly, is often a top destination for Nigerian conglomerates, financial institutions, and fintechs, like Moneypoint, Kuda Bank, Lemfi, and PiggyVest. All Nigerian-created, Nigerian-run, brilliant companies that want to come to the UK because, again, they want to get that combination of experiences and things that both countries have to offer to get a better outcome. So in this case, what they're going for is access to financial service, to money, to capital, and access to regulation. Those two things open up their businesses to make them truly international. It's still a Nigerian business. It's still led by really smart Nigerian people. But what they needed to turn those businesses into the unicorns that some of them become, and that some of them I'm sure are going to become, is that access to capital and then the UK stamp of regulation that means they can be a trusted partner globally. Really, really important. We also support many Nigerian firms listing on the London Stock Exchange. And it's worth saying that the London Stock Exchange hosts more African businesses than any other exchange in the world by a long, long way. And that is because the London Stock Exchange and London investors understand African business, Nigerian business, much better than any other financial centre. And we're proud of that, and it's really important, and we hope that Nigeria and Nigerian businesses will benefit from that. To put some numbers to that, the London Stock Exchange has 117 listings for African firms. New York Stock Exchange, 7. Okay, 117 to 7. That's a really powerful figure, and that means that companies that want to list internationally, list globally, if you go to London, you're moving into a market that already understands Africa, is already exposed to African businesses, and that's a real positive. There are a set of other support systems that we have in place. We have something called the Global Entrepreneurs Programme, which was also here when Florence visited a couple of weeks ago. And that is about helping Nigerian startups to scale up and helping them to get access to the UK and understand what the opportunities are for them. And we saw the results of that during the London Tech Week, which was earlier on this year. The country that sent the most people to that was Nigeria, by a long way. And we wanted to return, in a sense, that interest by having the Global Entrepreneurs Partners Programme coming to GITEX, which was hosted here a few weeks ago. And unsurprisingly, Nigeria held a brilliant, brilliant GITEX. For those who don't know, a global sort of tech conference. It is not a surprise that for a regional version of GITEX, Nigeria and Lagos was the home of that, because this is where the tech genius really does sit across Africa. And we were delighted to be involved in that. As I've said, we are really keen to support the diversification of Nigerian exports. And I think potentially this really matters to firms in Enugu. We know that the Nigerian economy has in the past been dependent on oil and gas, but it's very clear that the figures are moving away from that dependency. That's not to say that oil and gas isn't important, but it is to say that other parts of the economy are picking up as well. And we think that's a good thing. We think it's a good thing for the country. We think it's a good thing for states like Enugu, where there is agricultural produce that can have value added to it and then imported into the UK duty-free under the DCTS scheme. I want to just add, while I mention that, a slightly personal note, because one of the first trips I ever did when I came to Nigeria was to Enugu, when you had a investment event. And at that stage, I discovered that Enugu exports a lot of cashew nuts. And it so happens that my mum's favourite food is cashew nut. And my parents are actually here at the moment. So as I came here, I was thinking, I forgot to ask the governor to bring some cashew nuts from Enugu. But I will go out and I'm definitely going to buy some cashew nuts for her. Finally, I just want to highlight another sign of the strength and importance that the UK gives to our relationship with Nigeria, and that is the number of senior visits we have. You will have seen that in July, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, was here, and he brought with him a whole set of companies, businesses that wanted to have partnerships in Nigeria, that wanted to invest with Nigeria, and hopefully we're watching the outcomes of that coming through now. We had Florence Eshelomi, as I said, coming also with people accompanying her. We will continue to have senior visitors coming. We will continue to support, where we can, companies going into the UK, because we strongly believe that the interrelationship between our two countries is a valuable one for all of us. And as we've seen over the last few years, there is room for growth. It has been growing. I am absolutely certain it will continue to grow, and I am absolutely certain that as we encourage more British companies to look outside Lagos, and it is true that the majority of their focus at the moment is Lagos, but they should be looking outside Lagos to states like Enugu. That growth, that expansion, that trade will grow, and it will continue to grow. And as I've always said, it will continue to grow for the benefit of both our countries and both our peoples. This is a partnership. This is a shared thing, and it's in all our interests to encourage it so that all of our businesses and all of our populations benefit from that relationship. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Can we give him another resounding round of applause? His Excellency Johnny Baxter had made a compelling reason for the trade relations between Nigeria and the United Kingdom to rise from 7.9 billion pounds as it is today to something much more significant. Thank you, Your Excellency Johnny Baxter, for your presentation. We go ahead with our sponsors' video adverts. Without our sponsors, this wouldn't have happened. First on the list, media, take a cue from me. City Homes Finance Company Limited, a subsidiary of DLM Capital Group.
Good day and welcome to City Homes Finance Company. At City Homes, we pride ourselves on being your trusted partner in providing custom-tailored financing solutions to help businesses, institutions, and individuals achieve their financial goals. Our expertise spans across project finance, loan syndication, fund management, financial consultancy, and asset finance. But we don't just stop at services. At City Homes, we have transformed our expertise into practical products designed to meet your financing and investment needs. Our financing products include term financing, clean energy financing, public sector financing, local purchase order financing, working capital financing, asset financing, and cashback facilities. And for investors, you're not left out. We also invest in bonds and notes, and we also offer invoice discounting. We also provide safe and rewarding opportunities to lock away your funds for as little as 60 days and even up to a year. Guaranteed returns and complete peace of mind. At City Homes Finance Company, our mission is simple: to empower your vision with funding that works. For more information, please call the number on your screen and follow us on all social media platforms for updates and opportunities. We are City Homes and we look forward to partnering with you. City Homes, funding that works.
Thank you, City Homes Finance Company Limited. May we give them another round of applause? I need to add that City Homes are a premium sponsor. I need to make that distinction very, very important. Our other sponsor, Polaris Bank. Can we have the advert of Polaris Bank?
Guys, with the rising cost of things, we need to plan our next move.
Guy, I agree with you. I mean, with the money we make, we should not be struggling with our finances now.
Maybe you both need better banking options.
What do you know about better banking options?
I recently moved my salary account to Polaris Bank, and since then, it's been a smooth ride for me. They bought over my existing loan and gave me better interest rates and repayment terms.
Are you serious?
Yes, as a Polaris salary account holder, I can get personal term loan, auto loan, mortgage, 50% salary advance, credit card, and more without going to the bank.
Really?
I've got a personal term loan already. See, here's my credit card too.
How do I make the move?
Simple. Open a Polaris salary account on Vault. Use salary account as your referral code.
My guy, I am moving my salary account now.
Get personal term loan and more with your Polaris salary account. Vault is available on Google Play Store and Apple App Store.
Buy homes from City Homes Finance Company Limited. Open an account with Polaris Bank. Let's give them another round of applause, our sponsors. Next for 3 minutes, only 3 minutes, and there's going to be a timekeeper. If you exceed the 3 minutes, we'll up the sponsorship funds that you gave us by another 5 million. We have the honor to invite Mr. Sonny Ayere, friend of the house, the MD CEO of DLM Capital Group, to give a goodwill message on behalf of our premium sponsors. Let's appreciate Mr. Sonny Ayere, please. Let's keep on clapping for him until he comes here. Else we'll add 10 million to sponsorship fund.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I think I would just skip the legal things put together here. I think, look, for me, when I think about the Nigerian-British chambers, I think it's the best dialogue, it's the best place to actually look at, like you were saying, Mr. Commissioner, UK business, Nigerian businesses working together to achieve better outcomes for both countries, win-win situations. Enugu, I mean, from what I've heard, Your Excellency, and let's say I stand on full protocols, you've been doing a wonderful job, and I think His Excellency deserves a very big round of applause for what he's been doing in Enugu State. And thank you so much, Prince, again, for allowing us to sponsor this. We appreciate it. Myself being also a dual citizen, I do see it from both sides of the table. And generally speaking, I think there's so much between the Nigerian people, businesses, and government that can actually provide that win-win situation. I don't want to say much, like the timekeeper said, 3 minutes. I think I'll probably end before that. But from our perspective, I would say, Mr. Governor, that from DLM Capital and City Homes Finance, we will be there, because the truth is, if financing is not there, and I'm sure that's the reason why Polaris Bank is here also, is that if financing is not there to create the infrastructure, the factories, the companies, to create that export business, then we don't have it. So we are there, financiers, to make sure that the dream you have as a governor can be realized, right? With most likely the most economic, viable interest rates. As you know, interest rates in Nigeria is always very high, but we will try our best to make sure that it's economically viable and you can definitely achieve what you want to achieve for the Enugu people and for Nigeria in general. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's appreciate Mr. Sonny Ayere for that short goodwill message. You know, Mr. Ayere is a salesperson. He refused to pay extra millions, so he quickly he had to rush the goodwill message so that I won't bill him an extra for exceeding the time. Mr. Ayere, I said you are a salesperson, so you beat me to it and just did it under 3 minutes. I'm going to present the profile of His Excellency. But before I do that, I have a few anecdotes about Enugu that I want to share. Very short. When I was preparing for this event, I researched the meaning of Ndubuisi. And I saw life is first, life is foremost, life is paramount. And I remember 3 Ndubuisi that I used to know. As a young boy at Government College Kefi back in the day, my Form 1, I had a class monitor. Then, Gen Z, you guys will know, we used to call it class monitor, not class captain. It was Gerald Ndubuisi Nwokedi. Tall, handsome, very brilliant. Another Ndubuisi I know, Ndubuisi Obeche, is from Delta, the Aniacha speaking part of Delta State. He was my deputy when I was a group head of strategy at a certain bank. A certain bank, I won't mention the bank so that I won't have to advertise them here. They didn't pay. Ndubuisi Obeche, brilliant too. An old boy of King's College, very, very smart. The third Ndubuisi I have some acquaintance with, Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe, a professor in the United States with whom I made acquaintances through LinkedIn. Very smart and brilliant and laser focused. So when it was a time to choose a governor, and we looked for the middle name, we were looking for an Ndubuisi. And when your name is life is first, life is foremost, and life is paramount, which other bilateral chamber of commerce would you have worked with other than NBCC? We are first, we are foremost, we are paramount. Can we give a round of applause to both NBCC and Governor Peter Ndubuisi Mbah? Every Ndubuisi I know is very smart and laser focused. Enugu State has some nostalgia with me. So back in the day, I used to be an ISECA. So you had UNEC, University of Nigeria Enugu campus, was a host of the southeast region of ISEC. So I passed the night a few times in the campus of UNEC at the time. I was the vice president of ISEC in ABU Zaria at the time. Then Presidential Hotel, or Hotel Presidential. Your Excellency, you are laughing. When I was in Skybank, this group of strategy, we used to have what we called village meeting. So we had the CEO, we have access to staff, no Osbird, so that you can have access to your junior officers. And the only hotel that was a prim and proper hotel to stay to lodge at the time was Hotel Presidential or Presidential Hotel, it's interchangeably used. In fact, Your Excellency, before I came for this event, I commissioned a fashion designer to sew me a Siagu and an Ichie cap. But unfortunately, as tailors I want to do, what did he do? He disappointed. So I had to change my wardrobe. Enugu State just 2 days ago signed 100 billion joint venture agreement to transform a certain farm settlement at Eziagu local government. Let's clap for Dr. Ndubuisi. That is laser focus. I have just 2 more. I said, show me your team and I can guess how successful you might be. And the reverse is true. Show me your team and I can guess how silly your outcomes could be. So when you have a team, Professor Chidebere on here as SSG, Dr. Sam Ogunwobodo, who is here. Dr. Sam, please, let's be recognized. Please, could you stand up, please? The Honorable Commissioner, Trade and Investment and Industry of Enugu State, a very, very brilliant individual. I've harassed him countless times for this day to happen. Doctor, I apologize for this harassment, late hour calls. Ozurumba Figbo, your executive assistant, was my colleague in Anderson from way back. So if you have an OZ in your team, Mr. Governor, you couldn't have performed anything less. And finally, David Uzosike, also another colleague of mine in Anderson back in the day, is a technical advisor to the governor. David, may you rise so that I can see you? To the Honorable Commissioner. So, Mr. Governor, you are surrounded by solid people. Solid, talented, committed, and competent. So we can see the results in Enugu State. A state that Dr. Michael Okpara ruled. A state that was the capital of the East Central State. Also the capital of Southeast Nigeria. So when you talk of Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and Ibadan, then you have to speak about Enugu. So when Ndubuisi rules that state, and his name is Life is First, he has to be first. Let's appreciate the governor once more. So, Mr. Governor, I have a dissertation here as a profile. So I won't read that dissertation. Else you won't live here. So let me just do a summary. In roughly 25 months, Governor Peter Ndubuisi Mbah has inspired a new paradigm shift in Enugu State. Through sheer inventiveness and dogged pursuit of audacious goals, he has launched the state onto an impressive growth trajectory as never before experienced. Before assuming office as the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Mbah was an international maritime lawyer, business magnate, and founder and chief executive officer of Pinnacle Oil and Gas Limited, an indigenous oil and gas company. Governor Mbah attended University of East London. Your Excellency, Johnny Baxter, and all students of East London University is here. And seated beside him is someone who represents the King of England here. What a coincidence. Where he studied law. Governor Mbah also attended Nigerian Law School and was called to the Nigerian Bar as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And he went on to earn a Master's of Laws degree in Maritime and Commercial Law from the Lagos State University. He holds an MBA from IESC Business School, Barcelona, Spain, and a Doctor of Philosophy in Political Science, honorary causa, from the Godfrey Oke University in Enugu. Stanford University, LBS. I must mention LBS especially. I'm an alumnus and prof is here. You won't forgive me if I didn't say that. The governor is an alumnus of the Chief Executive Program, CEP, at the Lagos Business School. Let's appreciate LBS, please. I'll skip a few things, a lot. Governor Mbah's public service career has been as impactful as his private sector imprints. He served as chief of staff to a former governor, Senator Chimaroke Nnamani. He also served creditably as Commissioner of Finance. Let me just go to the last paragraph. I've skipped a lot, and I had to. The script I have here says, born on certain day. No. It's not from me. You're going to hear the date of birth of the governor. I won't say it. If you want to know his date of birth, go check online. The governor is from Kano East Local Government, Enugu State, to the family of Chief and Mrs. Gilbert Mbah, and is a recipient of several awards, including the Distinguished Award for Road Infrastructure, an honor conferred on him at Nigerian Excellence Awards in Public Service. So many awards here. Let me finally say, the governor was also recently a recipient of the This Day Governor of the Year and Silver Bird Governor of the Year awards. In addition, he was honored with African Leadership Magazine ALM Award as African Business Friendly Governor of the Year in recognition of his bold reforms, investment-friendly policies, and commitment to promoting Enugu as a premier destination for business. Of course, Governor Mbah is married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me. May we be on our feet as we welcome and acknowledge the presence of our guest of honor and visionary leader, a man certainly meant for the top, Dr. Peter Ndubuisi. Life is first. Life is paramount. Mbah, Governor of Enugu State.
Thank you so much. Please sit down. Thank you. The President, Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, and Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Olashore, the patron and the former president, here with us, Asiwaju Michael Olawole Cole, and also I also want to recognize the executive members of NBCC that are here with us. The Deputy British High Commissioner, Johnny Baxter, my good friend, and indeed your other colleagues that are here. The Honorable Commissioner for Trade, Investment and Industry, Dr. Sam Ubu-Nwobodo. Captains of industry, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to express my delight and also how honored I am to be given this opportunity to interface and interact with what I would rightly refer to as maybe a homecoming of sorts. Because if this was happening some years back, I would be actually at the other side. So, thank you for this opportunity. We do not, we do not take it for granted. We understand the value and significance of having this interface. I thank you so much, Mr. President, and indeed other executive members of NBCC. I think what I'm essentially here to do today is to present a business case for investment in Enugu. And so my task then is to walk you through where we started, the steps we have taken in Enugu, and perhaps where we are heading. And maybe with that, we'll have some clarity on some of the investment opportunities that exist in Enugu. But it would be remiss of me if I assumed that everyone here has a deep knowledge about Enugu. So perhaps I should just give some bit of snippets of Enugu. Enugu is a consequential state with over 7 million people and a land mass of over 7,800 square kilometers. For context, that is about 1/4, or maybe even 1/3 of the entire southeast. And the history of Enugu, in fact, you cannot tell the history of Nigeria without copious mentioning of Enugu, because the history of Enugu predates amalgamation. So Enugu was already a major economic hub as far back as 1909, when vast quantities of coal was discovered. And by 1911, a rail line had been built from Enugu to Onne, so we were exporting coal to Europe, to UK, and many other Western countries. And Enugu also had played several important roles as an administrative hub of this country. So in 1929, Enugu was the administrative headquarters of the entire southern province. So what today is southwest, south-south, and southeast. They were all with the exception of Lagos, because Lagos was treated as a different colony then. But otherwise, all the states you know today are southwest, south-south, and southeast. They were all being administered from Enugu, the city of Enugu. And of course, at the twilight of our independence, Enugu was again to play a very consequential role. It was one of the tripods on which the then newly independent Nigeria was built. Enugu was the capital of the eastern region. So Enugu was to the east what Kaduna was to the north, and Ibadan to the west. And we continued. But what essentially may have also inspired us was these preeminent roles, this preeminence of Enugu. And then we also took the view of what Enugu could achieve under our watch should also mirror her past, the greatness of Enugu in the past. So during our campaign for office, we set out a blueprint for Enugu that is based on 3 critical factors. One is to grow the economy exponentially, to grow it from the $4.4 billion that we met it to $30 billion in 8 years. Then, of course, we also expressed big vision to achieve a 0% headcount rate in our poverty index. And then, of course, to make Enugu State the premier destination, the number 1 state for investment, tourism, business, and living. Of course, these items are not mutually exclusive. Every part reinforces the other. And so we wanted to, of course, ensure secure neighborhoods that would boost and create both investor and consumer confidence. We want to build roads and transport system that will ensure we create access to market and also ensure that our people commute in dignity, comfort, and efficiency. We want to build schools that would upskill our young people and get them ready for the industries we're building and for those that the investors would come and build. We want to have farm estates that would supply our agro-industrial hubs, our agro-transformation centers. We want to have tourism sites and conference centers that would attract millions of visitors to Enugu. And then, of course, we want to revamp our moribund assets, those ones below and above our ground, to essentially tap their potential fully. But for us, we believe that this growth will not happen by government. It would happen through private sector engagement, and which is why we identify certain hurdles that we needed to address. So the first step we took was essentially to deal with the security challenges. We recognize that businesses don't follow vision or mission statements. They go to where their capital is safe. They go to where they have returns on investment. And so we felt that businesses are not designed to absorb security challenges. So we needed to de-risk that, get that off the way, which is why we were able to invest hugely in the area of security. We built infrastructures that enables us to identify the criminals, capture them, and defeat them, bring them to justice. And so today in Enugu, we've reduced our recorded crime rates by over 80%. We have a command and control center. We've deployed technology. We have surveillance, security surveillance system that is AI embedded, both static and mobile surveillance system. We're able to track and create a safe city for our people. We also thought about infrastructure. And my hope is, since this is not a monologue, I'm just going to keep this high level so that we can essentially get into the dialogue mode. I'm sure that's what a lot of you are here for. So in the area of infrastructure, we've also identified that as a hurdle. So what we've essentially done is to, for example, ensure that we provide those basic infrastructures, those basic amenities that businesses would need, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. For example, our city roads, our target is to ensure that the entire city roads are paved by the middle of next year. We should have all the roads in our city paved. Now we've accomplished about 70%, and we're poised to ensure that we get the 100%, the entire road, particularly in our city. We want to get that paved. Of course, we're not insensitive to our rural roads, our farmland roads, the Tronc roads, and all that. Then in tourism, I'm sure you must have followed, we recently hosted over 20,000 lawyers in Enugu State, and that is largely because of the infrastructure we've provided, the International Conference Center. And we're also building about 4 tourism sites, an immersive tourism site. We're going to have, I think, the first zip line in the country, a 300-meter zip line. Enugu naturally lends itself to tourism. We have the rolling hills. We're doing the Cross of Hope, which is something we essentially want to put in place to attract religious tourism. We're going to have the highest point in our state is about 580 meters above sea level, and we're building a massive cross of about another 100 meters, which is like an equivalent of 30 floors. We're going to put that on top of that highest point, and you can imagine what would go on there. We're doing the pine forest, natural pine forest. We're revamping that. Then, of course, the Nsude Pyramid, we're bringing that back to life. In the area of transport, recently we launched our terminals, but it's not just about the infrastructure, it is the system. We're changing everything. We have just introduced a new transport management system that allows you to commute with ease and essentially the same experience you would have when you travel across any other, climb. You don't have to get into the bus to get your ticket. You know when your bus is calling, what time, and the numbers of the bus calling. Your bus has air condition, it has Wi-Fi, you're able to work even as you are on the go. But the interesting thing is what we have put in place, how we have tried to unlock investment opportunities in different sectors. For example, in agriculture, because we are also business people and we understand very well how we can work with businesses to help them not only create the environment for them to come in and invest, but we work with them to help them even de-risk certain aspects of these investments. So there are a number of areas we have created the investment opportunities. We've done the basic technical work beyond just doing a concept note or a pre-feasibility. We have some sectors where we've done full feasibilities. So all you need to essentially do is to do a desktop review, and then you get on. And we're also interested in having our skin in the game. So if an investor comes up and he thinks working with the state would help him in terms of the CAPEX outlay, we're more than happy to step in and work with that investor. And you see this across every sector. For example, we're currently doing a 340-room hotel, a 5-star hotel, which we hope will be managed by Marriott. We didn't have to wait. Sometimes you want to even step in before the investor arrives. So what we would refer to as a supply push instead of demand pull, because sometimes the investors like numbers and they want to ensure that there is a finance model that they can take to the bank. So we help a lot in making sure that those numbers look good when you take them to the bank. So the pressure points, we try to diffuse them. We work with you and try to diffuse them so that you can come. Enugu also has huge mineral assets. We're quite heavy. They tend to think, of course, because we were referred to as a coal city, that even though we have one of the best coal, it's sure an oxymoron to say you have the cleanest coal. But yes, we do have the cleanest coal. And this coal, it's only comparable to what you have perhaps in Japan. A sulfur level of 0.5 and a calorific value of more than 6,700. So if you're now looking to generate power, the next place to go to is Enugu, because frankly, you now know that based on the Electricity Act of 2023, we're now able to play across all the value chain of electricity supply. So we are more than happy to welcome an investor in the area of power generation. The market is there. With what we're doing in Enugu, there's quite a lot of interest. Our plan to bring in 3 million visitors, it's real, and we're hoping to welcome that by next year. And because we know that there are some fundamentals that you must have if you're expecting that number of visitors. We've gone ahead to ensure we provide those fundamentals. For example, we worked with an investor to get the concessioning of the international airport there. So hopefully, before the end of first quarter of next year, the international wing of the airport would be operational. And so we can be beyond Ethiopian Air, which is the only foreign airline that comes to Enugu today. We're expecting that other carriers would also fly into Enugu. And so you'll be able to fly from Enugu to several destinations in the world. And that's what we're working on. We're also trying to get the cargo terminal up. So we're working on that. We're investing on that. I heard Johnny talked about quality assurance. That is something we're interested in because we're also doing a quality assurance center so that we can, currently in Enugu, we're building 260 farm estates. And what it means is that we're looking at scaling up our production. But what that means is that you're now going to have a lot of supplies going to the agro-industrial hubs and the agro-transformational centers. And so you're going to be processing and exporting. And so we would welcome British and local investors who want to play across the value chain in agriculture. In fact, we're also going on to build what would be the biggest livestock productivity hub, an integrated livestock productivity hub in Enugu. That is ongoing. So, and it's not just, the rearing of the livestock, but we're going to play across all the value chains. So, and we're looking at packaging and, of course, exporting and, tailoring. So we don't have a one-size-fits-all solution. We work with an investor to tailor what they want. What you can be sure of is that you're working with a trusted partner. One of our governance philosophy is predicated on transparency. So in Enugu, we lay everything bare. There's no hidden charge. And of course, you just heard about the award where Enugu is recognized as the most friendly state in Africa, not just in Nigeria, in Africa to do business. And that is not posturing. That is real. Because when we look for you, we just don't wait. That's why when I got this opportunity, I was so excited, even though the president continues to thank me. But I think it's an inverted gratitude. I should be the one grateful to NBCC for giving me this opportunity because I really look forward to, listening or hearing your thoughts and, your questions on how we can engage and partner. So I'm really looking forward to this. There are quite a lot of sector. I'm told I only have like 10 minutes. I think I've exceeded that for this section. But I'm going to be right here. So I think I have set the scene. And so without further ado, let's get into the dialogue mode. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Let's appreciate His Excellency once more. Can we give Your Excellency a stand innovation to come? Your Excellency, I'm going to learn how to say this in Igbo language, Lai Wowe, as in without looking at any script. Mr. Governor just sold Enugu State so passionately without a recourse to reading from a script. That shows passion, it shows commitment, and it shows someone who knows the way. My job is to introduce a moderator who will now invite the governor to come to the podium. The moderator also has a physics as profile. Well, I'll just say Professor Franklin Nyamaka Ungu is a professor of strategic management at Lagos Business School. And let me end it that way. I have the honor to invite my friend, my brother. We've been in the trenches together, seeking knowledge, and he's here to be the moderator. Come and do justice to this conversation. We're going to have 30 minutes of Fireside Chat with His Excellency. Then we'll also have 30 minutes for Q&A session. No holds barred. Don't just ask the Excellency to give you money. Any other thing you can ask him. Moderator, please go on. Your Excellency, please come forward and take your seat. Let's appreciate Mr. Governor as he comes forward.
I think it's still morning, or good afternoon, everyone. I think they normally say I'm standing on all existing protocols and duly observed. Well, let me say that this morning I had a serious argument with my wife, and it was about what I'm supposed to wear. So I said I'm going to wear a blue suit. She said black. I now changed to a black native. I said, let me represent Nigeria, because I know that the governor will wear suit and he will look very British. I'm sure, because he always wears suit. And I also told her that he's going to wear a deep blue suit. And I should wear a deep blue kaftan. But she told me that a good wife always looks after her husband. And I now obeyed and wore a black kaftan. And you can see she is wearing a deep blue suit. So, Mr. Governor, first of all, is blue and red, are they the winning colors? I'm just wondering. But let me also say that the reason why we invited you, I'm sure you know the reason why we invited you, because you're doing well. It's a public knowledge. It's a public knowledge that you're doing well. Let me also say that I was surprised that he gave this overview in about 10, 15 minutes. Because 2 months ago, we visited him in Enugu, and he spoke for 2 hours, and we wanted him to continue, because he was narrating all the different sectors. And what was interesting is that he didn't look at any paper. So I noted it down that once he's done with Enugu State, we'll recruit him to LBS. I hope you are following. And also, the reason why he's doing well, let me say it now, is not because of anything. It's not because his name is Ndubuisi or anything. It's because he went to Lagos Business School. And if you want to do well, please come to Lagos Business School so they can do well like him. So, Your Excellency, you're highly welcome. It's good to have you again. It's always a delight to listen to you. What you're doing in Enugu State is transformative. And we're all applauding you. We're all praying for you that you will succeed. And you said that you want to move the state from 4-point-something billion to 30 billion. Some people say it looks a bit insane to think like that. From 4-point-something billion, I'm not sure the growth percentage that you want to achieve to do that. But my first question to you is, with all you're doing, you say you want to move the state to 30-something billion. That is in 8 years. The key question that many investors will ask is, what are the states of rule of law, regulatory quality, government effectiveness, voice and accountability, particularly with regards to succession when you leave? How do we sustain this? Because when you've done 2 years, there's an election in 2027. If you win, it means that you have another 4 years, which is 6 years. What happens when you leave? How are we going to be sure? Because most of the investment that will come are not short-term investment. They are not medium-term. Some of them are long-term investments. So what are the assurances you can give the investors that things will be okay when you leave as the governor? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So when we assumed office, actually just 2 hours after I took my oath of office, the first executive act that I performed was the signing of Executive Order 001. And the Executive Order 001 speaks to Citizens' Charter. And it's a document that holds us accountable to the people. So we signed to present our scorecard on a quarterly basis to the people that we got our mandate from. So the idea was for us to ensure that we run a transparent and accountable, and to also ensure that there is fund traceability in all that we do. And then the next thing the Citizens' Charter speaks to is to strengthen our institutions, to ensure that we upskill our public service, and to ensure that we so digitalization is something we have done. We migrated from the manual ways of doing things to an e-governance platform. And so you're able to work, all my MDAs have been uploaded to the e-governance platform. We get the reports of our financial position like every week into the new month. And by the end of the year, you get your final account reports. So these things are done intentionally. So we're not just interested in piecemeal development. We're interested in building a system that can sustain whatever it is we're instituting, whatever it is we're doing. So that even long after we've gone, you have a strong system that can checkmate, so it's not as an individual becoming bigger or greater than the system. It's actually the other way around. Having a system that is stronger and bigger than the individual, so that these things are sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for that very, even though I will ask again later on this issue, but let me ask with regards to agriculture and mineral resources. The Ambassador John Baxter talked about cashew. But let me also say, with regards to agriculture, when he visited Lagos Business School, we served him cashew, and he enjoyed it. And the question in Enugu State that we have a lot of cashew, Obola, for Ezago, and all that. How is the state positioning this value addition, positioning these products for value addition and export? Particularly cashew, palm oil. We have so many things in Enugu State. So how are we positioning this? Is it just raw material export? Or is there anything that we are doing that will enable the state to export, add value to this and now export? Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. So the agriculture for us, it's going to play a very important role to the GDP we're projecting, the big vision we've expressed. So it's a sector that we take very seriously. If you followed activities in Enugu, you would notice that one of the first things that happened was the investment. We getting an investor to invest in the United Palm Products Limited, a company that owns over 10,000 palm trees, and had that investment, that asset had been moribund over the years. So we brought in an investor who is today partnering with the states. It's an investment outlay of about 100 billion, where they've started already planting new trees, and of course, we're expecting that would also, the whole understanding, by the second year, they've started building the processing plant. So we're not just going to be producing the palm trees. We also want to refine them. We want to have the oil and then export them, package them, and then, of course, export. We also did the same thing recently with the Songhai farm, where we've also we have another investor who is injecting another 100 billion, working with the state to revamp the Songhai farm. And then, of course, the Sunrise Flour Mill, we have investors who are also today, they're upgrading the Sunrise Flour Mill. We also, the deal with the Sunrise Flour Mill was also to cultivate about 10,000 hectares. So we have over 167,000 hectares of land bank where you don't have any friction. This is a land, these are lands that were donated by the community to the state, and to say, look, we're happy to have you come in here and develop this place. So this land bank they are there just waiting for investors to come. So you don't need to go and talk to the community or deal with the community frictions or fragility. You can just stop with the state and we sort you out. Cashew, of course, we know where we were. At some point, we were number one in cashew in the entire country. We want to get back to that position. And just like with our minerals, we're interested in the beneficiation. So we're interested in value add to ensure that we're not just exporting this raw, but that we're adding value. And that's why we're investing with, we're working with the investor that has a concession, the concessionaire of the international airport to do the cargo terminal, because the idea is process, package, market, and then export. And so that's really where we see the value. And again, I'm using this opportunity to invite our business people, and really the place to be right now to invest, because the numbers are huge. Even when we've done some of it, and we're happy to share them once we get into a bilateral discussion. So they are there, and we've done quite a lot of work in the area of agriculture. So we welcome investment in that area, but we've made quite a lot easy. So when you talk about the ease of doing business, I think there's nowhere else that you need to see that in action outside Enugu, because from the airports, we're there waiting for you. And then we'll take you to a location where you sit down and we get other things, the licenses, the permits, the approval, where you have a title for we now have the geographic information system for our land. So you can process your CFO and obtain that within weeks and few days in Enugu. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ambassador Johnny Baxter, I'm sure you will agree with me, as you say you like cashew. And the Enugu cashew, very good. In addition to what Your Excellency said, I think we will propose that Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce should serve cashew at every function. And that cashew should come from Enugu State. Your Excellency, I'm sure, exactly. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those say nay. The ayes have it. I'm sure you agree, Your Excellency. So in addition to the agriculture and mineral resources, what are the other key 5 sectors? Because you cannot cover everything. But I see that you're almost doing everything. You are doing housing, you are doing this, you are doing that, you are doing that. And as I said, we keep praying for you. What Your Excellency did not also mention, that if you want to go to Enugu State today, there is an Enugu Air that will take you to Enugu. And I think that the price or the fare is the cheapest compared to other airlines. So it's also discounted. So In addition to the agriculture and mineral resources, what are the other key sectors you think or you are prioritizing for foreign and local investment in the next 5 years?
Perhaps we could start with the ICT. We're currently doing 260 smart green schools, and we're also doing 260 primary healthcare centers. So for context, the smart green schools would have 7,000, it's about 7,000 classrooms. Now all these classrooms would have digital and smart boards. They would all have e-learning platforms. So it's all about tech-enabled learning system. And you would require huge data to be able to run the smart schools, and even the PHCs. Because even in our PHCs, we're now migrating from the manual ways to an EMR, the electronic medical record system, which is happening across all our PHCs. So we also need data to run those. So an investment in ICT and something like a data center, maybe a hyperscale data center, a tier 4 hyperscale data center, or even a tier 3, okay, because that would still work. You talked about the investment in connectivity. Enugu, it's beyond the fact that it's a very important state in the affairs of this country, is also a gateway to quite a lot of other states. So if you want to go to the North Central, we border the North Central. We also have a common border with South-East. So you're just there to serve beyond the Southeast market. And again, for context, Southeast has over 27 million people with a land mass of less than 28,000 square kilometers. So in terms of population density, outside Lagos is the most densely populated region in the country. So, and the interesting thing about it is also that we're people of common stock. So you have Ndubuisi, and of course the capital of that Ndubuisi is Enugu. So if you're investing in Enugu, you're looking at a market beyond Enugu. So you're not just thinking about the market size of Enugu. And so we want investment to ensure that we build, because one of the things we're all trying to do in the South is to have a common market. And of course, what would make a common market successful would be access, making sure you have ease of access, so people can move from one city to the other. And that would happen when we get investment in rail line, and we are happy to work with the investors, even when the numbers in terms of the CAPEX outlay, when it looks not so good, we can come in, and that's what I was alluding to in my remark, that we can step in and find a level where you can, as an investor, find it comfortable, so we can take some of the heavy lifts from the investors and make it work. So there's an opportunity. Tourism. We hope to have at least 4 branded hotels by the end of next year. And that's because if you're expecting 3 million visitors to Enugu, we've done the number. Even if one visitor spends an average of 300,000, that's over 900 billion in a year. So we think that those branded hotels, there will be demand for them, huge demand for them. And that's an area we're looking at. We've already taken the first step by doing one, but we think that one would hardly be sufficient. We think that Enugu requires at least 3 branded hotels, particularly if you're expecting to bring other international carriers to Enugu. That would be also another sector that would welcome investments. Mineral resources, some of the things we've done, is to also try and de-risk that aspect, because one of the major concerns we found out was data. A lot of investors just won't want to incur that TA, that cost to do the technical work. So we've done that in our mineral resource space. So we have data that can help you make investment decisions in terms of the accurate deposit, some of the minerals that the quantity of deposit we have, because some of them are just not. So the ones that we think is commercially viable and that we can encourage you to work on, and there are quite a whole lot of them. Beyond coal, we have a whole lot of other mineral assets that you can work on. Of course, in transportation, just recently we're working with some investors already, but what we have is hardly enough. We've just done our procurement is for 200 buses, but we think we need 800 buses to be able to service the state. So there is still room and window for us to bring in investment in our transportation space. So we're welcoming investors. So I think I've mentioned up to 5.
Yes, you have. But I wanted you to say something about Enugu Air. In terms of what is the plan,
Okay, so Enugu Air, we started off with 3 aircrafts. We're looking at bringing an additional 6 aircrafts by next month. And we're obviously going to expand very quickly because our load factor, so we've actually surpassed our projection in that area because our load factor today is over 80%. When we did our projection, we worked with about 40% within the first 6 months. But within 1 month of operation, we were doing a load factor of over 80%. So we just said, look, this is too good to be real. And so we're doing a deep dive in that. So we're getting additional aircraft. We hope to ensure, because if you're looking at bringing in 3 million visitors annually to Enugu, you're talking about operating over 70 flights. Today we operate about 8 flights to Enugu. So that's not enough. So we are going to be working huge opportunities that we have in that sector, and frankly, we are already talking to some international carriers that we can partner with. Because just recently, we also got approval from NCAA to do the regional hub, so you can take a flight from Enugu to Ghana, to any of the West African countries, and so there's huge opportunity in that area. And again, we're running this as a private business, not as government, and that's why we welcome opportunity in that regard. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm not sure you heard the last thing Your Excellency said, that Enugu is going to be a regional hub. It means that if you want to go to Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, and all that, you can fly from Enugu. And all of you that want to go for holidays, it means that you can come to Enugu. If you've been to Portugal, Enugu is like Portugal in terms of the scenery that you see in Enugu. So if I see any of you booking any flight to London or America for holidays, and you've not been to Enugu, we will tell immigration to do something. But let me also add, Your Excellency, I'm sure we also know that South-South is almost very close to Enugu State. Sorry, very close to the Southeast. From Abia State to Ikote-Egbene, it's just about 20 or 30 minutes. And that means that if you are serving the Southeast, which is about 27 million people, you almost can serve the whole of South-South, which is another about 30-something million people or 40 million people. So if you bring the two, you're looking at the market of over 60-something million people. And interestingly, Botswana, that we normally regard as the poster boy of Africa, has just about 2.5 million people. So and many of us are moving there. I know one of the big firms that are saying that they want to move the African operations headquarters to Botswana. So it means that if you are looking for a good place to be, to serve a market of over 60 million people, and of course, Enugu shares a boundary with Benue State. That means from Enugu town, Enugu city, to go to Benue, you are just about less than 1 hour. That means we're already serving the whole of North Central. That means Enugu is really the right place to be. But my question to you, Your Excellency, is that you know we are looking for investment. And investment can come in the way of foreign direct investment and also local investment. In the last report about capital importation into Nigeria, we received about $5.something billion. But surprisingly, about 90-something% of that $5.something billion are portfolio investors. And remaining just about 1.something% are foreign direct investment. My question is, how do you balance the need for FDI with empowering local entrepreneurs and SMEs, particularly in areas of manufacturing, to support what you're trying to do in Enugu State? Not just foreign investors, but how do we empower local SMEs, local investors to really properly stimulate investments in Enugu State?
Thank you very much. Again, we're quite deliberate and very intentional in empowering our small and medium-sized businesses. We have, of course, in terms of supporting them and training them, we're very active in that space, and we do that across different sectors. We have an AI institute that we're just building now. We also have the innovation incubation hub that again we're doing, designed again to help our young people upskill. Our target is to see how we upskill up to 40,000 young people. And in fact, we have some arrangement, even with some overseas companies, that we can provide outsource arrangement for. So we have some tech-enabled outsource arrangement, business process outsourcing arrangement that we're again making sure we work with these our SMEs to at least accomplish. So for us, the SMEs are like the engine room of the economy, because if you look at the percentage of our people who are playing in that space, whether those in the rural area or the urban area, you see that they are huge. And even though they have 1 or 2 employees, by the time you do the numbers, you see that we're talking about a huge number of employments. So we are deliberate in our support. We do have some common facilities where we think that the SMEs may have challenges procuring the equipment. So, for example, we have a fashion and garment hub where we provided all the equipment there. So for an SME, it's almost like a common facility center where those who cannot afford the equipment can go there and, of course, use the facilities there. We have the same thing with the leather and, scheme. So we're quite deliberate with upskilling and also strengthening them. In some cases, we also empower even startups. We have funds that we dedicate for startups. So, and we work with them across different strata. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. But of course, you know that to achieve all your planning, you need partnerships. You need stakeholders engagement. You need to engage with different levels of the society. But let me focus on. So I just came back from Port Harcourt, and in Niger Delta, they've just formed a Chamber of Commerce comprising the 9 states of Niger Delta. That's including Abia, Enugu, Imo, and all that. So my question to you is, how does your government plan to partner with chambers of commerce and private sector players to drive sustainable development?
We've started it. We're here at NBCC. So, yeah, but that's in fact, even to take that further, just recently we started encouraging cooperatives in the smart farm estates that we're doing. Because what we have done is we're doing 260 farm estates across the 260 electoral wards we have in Enugu. And what's a farm estate? It's a location where we ring fence 200 hectares of land. We bring in the smallholder farmers who before now were just subsistence farmers. We provide them with machineries, provide them tractors and implements, also give them the inputs to enhance their production. So we now get them also to form cooperatives. So for every farm estate, you have a cooperative. So, and the idea is essentially to begin to get these guys, maybe at some point or one day, they are going to also have a chamber that is just agro-biased, So this will just, but of course, we have what is known as eczema. We also have the Nsoka Chamber of Commerce. I can see some of them, here in the house. And we also have the Abaj. So we have a couple of chambers of commerce that we work with. And we continue to engage with them. We actually bring them because everything that has marked our success in terms of investment is the ability for us to have a private-public sector partnership. And so that is quite important to us. So collaboration, partnership is the way to mobilize and unlock private capital. So we work very closely with them.
Excellent. I'm sure we're all hearing what Your Excellency is telling us in terms of the opportunities in Enugu State. But let me, just one final question before I open it up to our guests and participants to contribute. You mentioned that you're open to partnerships. I also said with regards to chambers of commerce, you mentioned Nsuka Chamber of Commerce and all that. I'm sure you know that there was a symposium which you sent your Commissioner of Finance to represent them. So my question is, what are the most promising areas for partnership between Enugu State and the UK? And how can investors, companies, or institutions here get involved?
So we're going to stay back. At least the Commissioner for Trade and Investment is going to stay back and, still engage further, particularly on a bilateral basis. We are actually hoping to host several summits. One is the Southeast Trade and Investment Summit that is coming up sometime in November, and then of course the investment summit that would be for Enugu. So we have across all the sectors: agriculture, tourism, trade and investment, transportation, even infrastructure. As I said, we can make even infrastructure, some of these so there are ways that we can work with a prospective investor to make this, some of the infrastructure I have outlined, like the rail line and the transport system, we can make it work because we're going to have our skin in the game. So we have curated a number of investment opportunities in Enugu, and they are not, some of course you may not have full feasibility, but a large number of them we've done full feasibility. We have the data, we have things that can at least help you with an investment decision very quickly. So we're going to stay back. That is actually the objective of this engagement, to see and to share some of these specific areas of investment. Thank you.
Just before you drop, Your Excellency, I want to ask you this because it's related to what you said now. In terms of looking at Nigeria, I know you'll be focusing on Enugu State. what advice will you give to business leaders, both in Nigeria and international, who may be hesitant about investing in Nigeria right now? Given what I said, that in terms of capital importation, 90% are more of portfolio investors. What advice, what can we do differently to attract more?
I think the common thing you say in business is that when everybody is seeing an opportunity, it's no longer, it doesn't exist anymore. So I think those who understand our country would clearly see that we are heading in the right direction. And you do not have a better time to take position than now, because you don't want to come when the space is already crowded. So, and if you look at some of the policies of this government, the federal government, you see that they are stabilizing the economy, they're stabilizing things. So we now have at least some semblance of sanity in the exchange, the foreign exchange market. And then, of course, the inflation, we saw the numbers recently, it's all on a decline mode. So we see quite a number of those macro indicators, showing some promise. So I think there couldn't be a better time than now to take position in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's now time for questions, because I don't want to be to monopolize the engagement with Your Excellency. So please, if you have questions, please indicate. We only have a few minutes to take questions. So please make it brief and very direct to what you want Your Excellency to ask. And I think we have a hand here. Our former and emeritus president of Federal Institute of Directors, Dr. Ijeoma Jidema. If you can give her mic here, please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's been very exciting and reassuring listening to you. I will specifically ask a question with regards to one of the key minerals you have in Enugu, which is coal. I know that we are talking about climate change and all that, but there has also been talks about climate justice. And I think an integrated resource planning might just be it, that we do not just allow the coal to just be there, untapped, whilst we work towards renewable energy like solar and so on. So what efforts are you making? I'm aware that South Africa still relies on 74%. They rely 74% in terms of their coal usage to generate energy. And energy is the engine of growth. Electricity is the engine of growth. So is there nothing we can do with our neighbors or our compatriots in the continent also, in terms of how to put to good use what we have whilst planning for transitioning to renewable energy? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our Emeritus President. I think, Your Excellency, maybe it might be good for us to take 3 questions, and you can now answer. So we have a question here that says, what are the steps being taken to harness oil and gas deposits in the states and also establish coal to gas power conversion facilities to enable increased revenue and enough power for the states and incoming investors? So this one relates to oil and gas, which I'm sure we all know that Enugu also has oil and gas. And then how do we tap into this? And the next question is asking that with the exciting, innovative project that you're doing underway in Enugu State, how is the state ensuring that every resource committee to the project delivers measurable impact and remains visible to the public? If you can answer these three, maybe we can now take more questions. So please, if you can also write your questions so that I'm able to manage time, and we send it to me, please. Thank you. Your Excellency, please.
Thank you very much. So maybe I should also add, before I answer the question of the Emeritus President, that we are also sensitive to the climate change. Of course, Enugu is one of the states that have adopted an action plan for climate change. And I have a very renowned professor who is a professor in Oxford as my SPA on climate change management. But you're very correct. When we talk about energy transition, and we're talking about just transition, even though they haven't added coal to the just transition mineral, you're still talking about gas as the just transition. But I also think that we cannot treat our coal assets as a stranded asset, particularly the Enugu coal. And I mentioned that our coal, it's a premium coal. It's not just your regular coal. It's I talked about having less than it's about 0.5 sulfur. For a lot of coal, if you have 1%, it's still a great coal. But we have 0.5% sulfur. And then in terms of our calorific value, and that speaks to what you mentioned, coal to power, that's where that becomes very useful. So our coal is actually very good to power, power plants, to fire power plants, right? And so we are on that. We're not going to warehouse that. And of course, if we have to warehouse or treat it as a stranded asset, then there has to be conversation on compensation. So, but that's not where we are. We think that doing coal to power is still a possibility because you can generate cheap energy. And that's something we're hopefully going to accomplish. And that speaks again to the second question, talking about coal to power. Our target is to see how we can use our coal to at least power up to 1,000 megawatts of a coal-fired power plant. And you do have technology today that makes those coal technology less environmental adverse, less adverse to the environment. And so there are quite a number of ways to sequestrate the carbon. And essentially, that's what that's the direction for us. So it's not, and we have huge deposits of coal. So I agree with you that we need to sweat the assets, and we're very mindful of it. And again, I think the same thing goes for the oil and gas. We have huge gas assets. We have over 25 trillion cubic feet of gas on that. So in fact, Enugu can also pass for a gas city. In fact, some compounds, when they try to dig borehole, they rupture a gas field, and the next thing you see fire coming. That's how much gas we're sitting on in Enugu. So huge gas exploration and even exploitation, because we have some of the gas fields that have been explored. So we're just waiting for investors who can come and start production. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm sure the questions were very well answered. There are very interesting questions here. And I remember that my dad used to tell me that if I had a better handwriting, maybe I would have passed better. Because some handwritings I'm seeing here, I think I have a better one than them. So I will try my best to make, just to say what they said. So the first one is that there is a concern around measuring growth using macroeconomic indices. So the question is that if you look at Enugu, that we should be able to use more micro indices to assess. So in the last report released by NBS, poverty rate in Enugu is close to 60%. And where literacy level is also low, but we are building schools, the smart schools. Healthcare outcomes is also challenging, and in terms of infant mortality is also not very good. And we're also building the health centers. Budget IT ranked Enugu State 14th. So the question is, can we have Enugu State measure its growth using macroeconomic indicators that are traceable and measurable to indicate real growth that impact people's life? And when and where can we have such and consistently? So the next question is, what is Enugu State government doing to accelerate the functioning of the Lion Business Park as a free trade zone? So I think you got the first one. And the second one is, what is Enugu State government doing to accelerate the functioning of the Lion Business Park as a free trade zone? The next one is, I think, if I guess right, I think it might have been written by Sam Otobeze because he's in security. But the handwriting is not very good. People in security, they don't write very, 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 very well. So he says, how are you dealing with the security situation in Enugu State? Especially as it relates to the first 1 day, no work day. And if you can also talk more about covering the whole of Enugu State with regards to security. I know you mentioned that you built a command and control center in Enugu. And the question is it covering the whole of Enugu or is it just the city and all that? And what are the plans to ensure that Enugu as a whole is properly secured and covered? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. So first with the measuring indicators, I think that a lot of the reports you get, particularly from the center, are not a true reflection of what is going on in the state. We do, of course, have our own strategy for measuring across what the poverty rate is in our state. We took that baseline data when we came in, and we have consistently also measured, we have a clear measurable indicators, even in our mortality rates, whether it's maternity, under 5, or infant mortality rates. We know that where we were, we have been able to crash the maternal mortality rate by 400%. And even the infant and the under 5, the morbidity and the comorbidity rates, we've crashed them. And we have those data. We have those clear data. So we're not relying so much on the data from budget. But you cannot really, what really gets your attention is what you're able to measure. So we have a very proactive way of measuring what we're doing and the impact across the different sectors. In education, we knew where we were, the challenges we had, and which was why we felt that little adjustments in the education sector won't cut it for us, and which was why we went to do very radical thing in the education sector, building about 7,000 classrooms, making sure that brand new classrooms, and we move even the way we teach the kids from a rote system of learning to an experiential learning system. So we've changed the pedagogy. We've provided e-learning platforms for these kids to learn. And so, of course, you may not even feel or have these the impacts now. Maybe we'll be looking at another 2 years or 3 years. You're going to begin to feel the full impact of what we're doing. I think the next question, the Lion Business Park. The Lion Business Park is already it's a free trade zone location. It's gained that status. It also has It's a dry port too, so you can actually import straight to the Lion Business Park, and we have a bonded terminal there. We are working with the investors. Recently, we increased our stake in that investment, so we have our skin in the Lion Business Park, so we are working with the investors to see how we operationalize the business park. So we are doing the infrastructure aggressively, the roads, and putting the basic amenities, power, water, and all that. We're making sure that we have that. But of course, it's like, what do you call it? It's an already made industrial park where you have all the facilities, including having a free trade zone and a bonded terminal. So, and then of course the security. So the coverage is designed for the entire state. We're not 100% there, but we have the dark spots that we have covered. So local governments, I think we've covered about 7 local governments. The local governments we identify as dark spots. From the command and control center, we have a line of sight of what is going on across those 7 local governments. Of course, in the city, we have a full line of sight of what is happening in the city. We no longer have a no-work day in Enugu. That ended when we came in. So there's no sit-at-home in Enugu. Enugu doesn't have sit-at-home. So we work every day. We can't actually, something we couldn't tolerate, because we can't be asking investors to come when we have non-state actors dictating to us the days to go to work. So it was something we had zero tolerance for, and we ended it. We identified it as, in fact, the biggest elephant in the room when we came, and we dealt with it frontally. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. As I said before, there are so many questions, because you can see that the interest in Enugu State is growing. So you have to come and do this more often in terms of talking to people, explaining what is going on in Enugu State. But there's a question that says that when you came in, that you promised pipe-borne water. And that 2 years down the line, you say, what are you doing to properly address this issue that is very critical to the development of Enugu State? The second question is, what are the concrete steps that you are taking to secure, you mentioned cashew, but this one is now looking at Nsukka pepper. So he says, what concrete steps are you taking to secure official geographical indication protection for Nsukka pepper so that local farmers and Enugu economy can fully benefit from its unique reputation and market potential? Then the next question, he says that you've talked about security, but there is still a serious perception of insecurity across the southeast. And as Enugu is the capital of southeast Nigeria, eastern Nigeria, what is the state doing to disabuse people's mind of this level of insecurity? And what kind of coordination is taking place with other states to ensure that the entire southeast is secured? These 3 questions, Your Excellency.
Thank you. I would have been surprised if the question on water didn't come up. So when we came in, we committed to providing water within 180 days. We did not make that statement because it was we were looking for a public acclaim, or we're just posturing. We knew where where water ranked in the priority list of our people. We knew how important it was, because we couldn't stand the sight of kids who were supposed to go to school, who were supposed to be at home doing their homework, going to queue or line up in the morning for tankers to deliver water to them. So it was just something that we thought that, look, we need to. And of course, what we did when we came in, we had our production level was 2 million liters daily. That was what we were able to produce at the time we assumed office in 2023. But we've moved that production level from 2 million to 120 million. But, of course, the minute we scaled up our production, it then created interesting stories. We then had to deal with the downstream. We had to deal with the distribution. We noticed that most of the pipes were brittle, they were bursting, so we had to start replacing them. And in fact, just also found out that some of those pipes were asbestos pipes, so we had to start replacing them. And doing the downstream was a lot more difficult than what the challenge we thought was the major thing, which was our production level, the upstream. So we've addressed the problem of water in the upstream. We've addressed it in the midstream. We can transport, we can move as much volume as we want. But the major challenge is now getting to the last mile, doing the downstream, replacing the pipes, replacing them with ductile iron pipes, and then, of course, also making sure that it gets to different homes. And so we are working on it, something that we're not happy that it's taking us this long to do. But be sure, in fact, I spend a good number of my executive hours talking about water every day. So my team understands how important water is to us. So Nsukka pepper is, we're actually interesting.
I think it's from Sam as well.
I'm imagining so. So Nsukka pepper, we're dedicating a whole farm estate to Nsukka pepper because Nsukka pepper is a very special pepper. It has an aroma that you can't find anywhere else. It's not like your regular pepper, and you cannot get it from any other soil outside Nsukka. And so it's our identity, so we're very proud of it. So we're going to give it that global prominence. The issue of perception is something we're dealing with because I was at an event, and this were, an event where, I was talking about an activity that was to take place in Enugu. And somebody, of course, I would expect already, I thought he probably would have known that we no longer observe the sit at home. When I mentioned that the event was going to be held on Monday, he said, no, we can't have it on Monday because of the sit. I was shocked. So it then struck me that if this person is still having this perception that there is this, so imagine, people who may not be as informed. So the truth is that we need to work on that. In fact, we even had we're having a case now where if there is a single breach of security in the state, it gets magnified. You get it posted on the social media because it was something these young boys were used to in the past. So it would look like we do have a problem here. But of course, we ask that we be given a benefit of the doubt. The situation is not bad, and it's not, I wouldn't even say it's not that bad. I would argue that Enugu is the safest city in this country to live in. Okay? And I'm saying that not because I'm the governor of Enugu, but I also know from experience, and you can talk to those who actually live in the city. The problem is that once there is a single breach, and of course you don't have any city or indeed any state in this world where you have zero security breach. You get that every now and again. But once it happens in the southeast and in Enugu particularly, it gets magnified. And so it's not a true reflection of the security situation in Enugu. Thank you.
Excellent. Last set of questions. After this one, I will not. If I ask you any other question, I'm sure the policemen are here. They can actually arrest me because these are three last questions. One is that there's a question with regards to renewable energy that we didn't hear much because Enugu is immensely blessed for solar energy, for wind energy, for all kinds of energy. So the question is, what are the plans renewable energy, in particular solar, wind, and all that, which will help in terms of production, manufacturing, and all that. And the next one is on education, in the education space. And that we all appreciate that you are building the smart schools, and they are progressing well. But how are you working with your commissioner for education to ensure that institutions in Enugu, that primary, secondary, tertiary, are meeting global standards? And also, are there plans? Because many people believe that in Enugu, most of the good schools are managed by the church. So are there plans to partner with the church to sustain good education management in Enugu State? And then our last question is from our premium sponsor, from Dr. Ayere. Please, if you can go ahead. If somebody can bring mic to him. Or you have a loud voice, so he's very loud. Yes. You can use this one.
Your Excellency, I had a few questions for you. The first one was you talked about transportation. And I wanted to, I think we have a potential investor. But the question I wanted to ask was, one, are you looking at buses that are going to be driven by CNG? That's number one. Two, it's important that the regulator for transport needs to allow the private sector investor be able to reprice when prices of, say, gas or if it's petrol or whatever changes. If not for the experience that we've had, we were one of the first institutions to fund transportation on a mass scale in Lagos here, and we saw what happened with that. Secondly is, how can we have access? You talked about having several minerals, right? Now, to be able to lure investors, it would be good to have access to information. I just wondered how or who we can follow up with the state with to find that information, to be able to go out and sell Enugu State to potential investors. The third one is, again, we have another potential investor looking at the vegetable oil space for export. I just wondered if that's an area that the state will be interested in seeing such an investor. For other areas, you talked about infrastructure and growing infrastructure. I just wanted to ask a question. Would Enugu State consider having something like a state-sponsored Enugu State tax credit fund? That could be backed by law or an executive order. That would really help in terms of bringing private capital into growing Enugu State infrastructure. Finally, this one is more a contribution. We've just recently created a product. I was talking to my dear brother about it, that we think can bring collateral to MSMEs or SMEs in Enugu State at very, very low cost, probably single digit, helping them to be able to borrow and grow the business. And I wonder, again, who else we can follow up with the state with this one. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'll start with the renewable energy. Yes. So we signed, as I said recently, we signed to the action plan on climate change. And if I didn't, of course, this is not the forum. I didn't dwell so much on what the future of even the smart schools are. All our smart schools are powered by solar systems. So each smart school is powered by a 65 kVA solar system. So you have 24/7 electricity. Then you also have the PHCs. They are powered by 25 kVA solar system. So we're quite heavy on renewable, and we're also doing some mini grids that are basically biased towards renewables. So there are a number of those mini grids that we're doing, even hydro recently. We've just commissioned a study on our hydro grid. We're spending a whole lot of money just to get the data as to what size of electricity we can generate from the hydro resources, the water resources we have in the state. So we also have a study on wind. So we have that already. So we have a location, a particular location in the state where wind energy would work, just one location, a local government called Isuzo, and just a particular location where we're able to do wind energy. So we have that data for any investor. And then, of course, if we can spend the whole day just talking about the plans we have for education. If for us in education, we're not just investing in classrooms or digital devices. We're, of course, excited that we're building new classrooms. We're excited that each smart school has a robotics center, has an artificial intelligence center. It has a CGI, computer-generated. The kids learn with VR and AR. But for us, it's beyond that. We're investing in the children. We're trying to change society. And that's why we're radical about it. That's why we're picking them at age 3. We're providing early child learning all the way to basic 9. So we're providing 12 years of free mandatory education. And on top of that, we're giving them free meal. Free meal. From next month, we're going to be feeding over 300,000 children every day with a balanced diet meal every day. So we're also working with the church, and we know that we have to do quite a lot of trainings, So we're working with the church to ensure, so we're bringing them in. We're not letting them out, because the ultimate, we have a common denominator, the children. They are interested in the kids just as much as we are. So we see that, we don't see what we're doing as a substitute. So we see them as a major complement of what we're doing. So we're working with them. So yes, the buses are CNGs. They're all CNG buses. The 200 we've procured are all running on CNG. And then we are, again, looking at increasing that number. Once, of course, we have an NDA with you, we have those proprietary data that we can share with you. As I said, we've done all the work. We didn't just do area mapping. We actually did core drilling. So we have accurate data of the quantum of deposit we have across all the minerals, or at least the major ones, those ones that are deposit, not just reoccurrence, but deposit. So we do have the data. And we also have, beyond just getting the data, we've also done some work in terms of a business model. We're happy to share all that. Yeah, we've just signed the tax credit thing, the executive order. I've just signed that. We've been working with some consultants on that. So it's something we're happy also to take up with. So we're more than happy to use the tax credit for provision of infrastructure. I've just recently signed. You have to, Sam, have I signed or is still pending? I have, yeah. I know we've been on this for some time now. I'm not sure if I've signed, but it's something we're more than happy to do. I'll just cross-check. Yeah, so we're working with a number of financial institutions that are supporting our SMEs on a single-digit lending. So we're also happy to work with you on some of those programs. And something that I didn't mention, maybe I should add, we're actually doing one of the best cities. We're doing a brand new city in Enugu. So something you have not seen before anywhere. So it's. I mean, I don't want to call names, but you haven't seen it anywhere in this country. So everything is serviced. You have your water, your electricity, your power is actually not the overhead power. Everything is underground. With massive right of ways across the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary roads. So we believe that this is going to be the best place to live in the country, and we're also inviting those who play in the real estate sector to come over and have a chat with us. There's huge opportunity. We're doing the infrastructure. We've started with the roads, and we're putting in place the water, including gas. We're also going to do a gas pipe, fiber optic, and all that. So you just plug and play. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Your Excellency, I'm sure he didn't want to mention names, but the new Enugu city is better than Banana Island, it's better than Ikoyi, it's better than so many places. And I'm sure we all agree that it's been a day, we've spent better part of the day very, very well, very insightful. So on that note, I say a very, very big thank you to the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Ndubuisi, and alumnus of Lagos Business School. So thank you very much, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, may you have your seat. We'll call you back. May we give you, the Excellency moderator, another round of applause. Are not busy. Can we give them another round of applause? That was time well spent, both on the Fireside Chat and the Q&A session. With Dr. Peter Ndubuisi Mbah, time can never be enough to engage him, and it showed in the engagement we just had. So the next program on the agenda is presentation of plaques to both our sponsors, His Excellency, and the moderator. On this time, the first shall not be the last, so the first has to be the first at this time. Laying on your name, Your Excellency. Mr. President, let me have the honor to invite you upstage to come and appreciate our guest of honor, Governor Peter Ndubuisi Mbah. Media, take a cue. These pictures are very important. Your Excellency, please. Your Excellency, you take your seat, I'll still call you back. Sorry, today we have an order of photograph. Your Excellency, I'm sorry. I can order a governor of a whole state today. The next is our moderator, Professor Franklin Nyamaka Ungu. Another round of applause for a job well done. Let's appreciate our moderator again. We alumni of LBS, we have a way of doing our things. His Excellency. Next to be appreciated, City Homes Finance Company Limited. Please, let's give them a round of applause. Our premium sponsor for this event. Without them, we wouldn't have been here. Sorry, smile, please. you are too serious. Thank you. Our premier sponsors, City Homes Finance Company Limited, subsidiary of DLM Capital Group. Mr. President, sorry, I'm keeping you standing. You know the drill. I'm sorry. Next, Polaris Bank, our sponsor. Let's give a thunderous round of applause to my former employers, Polaris Bank Limited. You can see the representative of Polaris Bank. There is life in him. Thank you, my brother. Henley and Partners, another sponsor of ours. Let's appreciate them. Henley and Partners. I mean, this is a lady. Let's appreciate her. Thank you, Henley and Partners, for sponsoring this event. And finally, our last sponsors, Elite Branding, Nigerian Limited. Elite Branding, come forward. Let's appreciate Elite Branding, please. We're very close to the home run. We're almost finishing. Elite Branding, take your flowers. Thank you for sponsoring this event. We're very, very appreciative. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, the penultimate item on the agenda is order of photographs, which is going to be very methodical. Your Excellency, let me invite you again to come here to have a picture yourself, the Honorable Commissioner for Trade, Investment and Industry, my brother, Dr. Sam Ogunwobodo, and other members of the Enugu State Delegation with Mr. President alone at this time. The Enugu Delegation, David, other members of the Enugu Delegation should please show up with His Excellency. Your Excellency and Mr. President, please stay behind. I have the mic today. All our sponsors, City Homes Finance Company Limited, are represented by one person for each sponsor. Polaris Bank, Henley Partners, and Elite Branding. Our sponsors were the Mr. President and the Governor. Mr. Ayere, please, beside the Governor. So no, so please go there. Someone has to flank Mr. President. Mr. President has a meeting with the Governor. Yes. There's a methodical approach to pictures. Our President has to be in the middle with the special guest of honor, the Governor of the state. Very, very, very important. Our sponsors, can they have their seats? No, there's order of photographs. What? Your Excellency, Mr. President, Deputy President here, Mr. Akin Oshotoki and Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo. Let's appreciate our Deputy Presidents, please. They are coming to take pictures with Mr. President and His Excellency. The Deputy President should wait. Moderator, please join. Professor Ongu, please join. Please join this picture. That's a deliberate order of photographs we have. Now, this picture should be joined by members of EXCO. EXCO members should join this picture. After EXCO, council members. Let's come. You can come to this side so that we can. Can we do? Okay. I think we should do steps because let the others be behind the Excellency and Governor. Let other members of ESCO be behind. Keep them. Your Excellency and Mr. President, could you wait behind? Others can leave, please. The British Deputy High Commissioner, please. His Excellency Johnny Baxter, please join Mr. President and the Governor. Our patron, Dr. Olawale Cole, please join this picture. Flank Mr. President. Members of the programs committee should join. Vice Chairman. May I have the honor to invite Your Excellency, Mr. President, please take your seat. Your Excellency, please take your seat. Thank you so much. May I invite our Deputy President, Mr. Akin Oshotoki, to give the vote of thanks, and the day is done. Let's appreciate our Deputy President, Mr. Akin Oshotoki.
Your Excellency, Mr. Governor, and Mr. Johnny Baxter, thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Without any doubt, Mr. Governor, you have done justice to the Fireside Chat. It was eyeball to eyeball, and you answered every question without dodging any. I think we need to appreciate you for that. You are the Chief Marketing Officer of Enugu State. You have the marketing officer's look. That is why our anchor had to look for a tailor to do a very special wear, but unfortunately he didn't get it. Also, the professor from Lagos Business School debated what to wear because they were quite aware that you always come out clean as the Chief Marketing Officer of Enugu State. Thank you for always being very businesslike. One thing I noticed also is that everyone here tried to market what they could offer. The Lagos Business School professor did everything marketing LBS. The City Home CEO came with a long list. I have my own list. NBCC has 20 standing committees: Trade and Investment, Agro-Allied Committee, Outward Mission. We will be very glad to hold the hands of Enugu businessmen on our next outward mission to London. I thought you put your hands together for that. Also, we will work with you on how to get your products into the UK market. I must thank you for the regular supply of cashew nuts, as we have been told, so that we don't have to buy cashew nuts here at the NBCC anymore. When we go to London, we'll take some Enugu pepper along with us as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Governor. I have no doubt that we have spent good time here, all to the benefit of Enugu State. You have marketed the state as if you are marketing a country. No doubt you've done a lot of work, and I can assure you that NBCC will stand behind you solidly to ensure that all the plans that you have are materialized. Please, once again, let's appreciate our governor. So let me also thank the honorable commissioners, members of your entourage, our moderator, who, by the way, will pay fees for marketing Lagos Business School here, patrons, our patrons, members of ESCO, and council members. I'd like to thank our sponsors, City Homes Finance Company. You need to come again because we have quite a number of programs I'm sure you should support. Polaris Bank, Henley & Partners, Elite Branding, the Programs Committee, and the NBCC headquarters staff. Without asking for too much, please let me give them a round of applause. Also, Mr. Governor, may I formally invite you to the induction of our brand new president, which should take place on November 24th, 2025 at the Eco Hotels and Suites. We'd like to have you join us at that event. We will keep your seat, and I'm certain that you will find that an exciting program. We have a members' evening. We'll be inducting over 20 new members, and this will hold on Thursday, September 23rd, 2025, in this same hall. Our first business breakfast meeting in this new regime will take place on Thursday, October 23rd, and we'll be hosting the former chairman and senior partner of KPMG, Mr. Kunle Elebute. He'll be talking about succession planning, passing the baton. Also, we have a golf tournament in December, on December 11th, 2025. So for the golfers in the house, please, would like you to join us as well. This beautiful building is very open for your various activities, AGMs, social events. Please feel very free to contact our headquarters, and we can work out very pleasant rates. Please do join us online. And indeed, I must thank everybody for being here. We thank you for coming, and please join us at future events and have a very safe trip back to your respective destinations. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Deputy President Akin Oshintoke. Let's appreciate our Deputy President again. All is well that ends well. Let's enjoy the remainder of the afternoon. Your Excellency, wish you a very safe and pleasant flight back to Enugu State, the coal city.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land.
On behalf of the Platinum sponsor and all the other sponsors, we would like to present you, Governor, able Governor, with this plaque, this beautiful emblem of yourself. And we hope you'll enjoy it. And always remember this occasion with this. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, sir. Let's share. I'm exhausted by now.
I'm coming, just a
Taiwo, please. Mr. Taiwo Olashere, please.